I'm Adrian, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the guitar solo from the song Life's Greatest Fool by Gene Clark. And even if you've no idea who Gene Clark is, even if you don't particularly care for country guitar, still urge you to give this lesson a try and to check this solo out. I think it's a truly great guitar solo. Masterclass in country string bending, also just in playing melodically and memorably over some quite simple chord changes. Now, Gene Clark, for those of you who don't know, probably most famous as being a member of the Byrds. I think he was a founder member of the Byrds, wrote several of their greatest songs, including Feel a Whole Lot Better. Went on to record a few solo albums, including the album No Other that this song is taken from. And usual sad story, he made these great albums. They weren't well received at the time, hardly sold any copies. Then he died, and they were rediscovered and hailed as masterpieces. They've now kind of become cult classics. So I reacquainted myself with this No Other album the other day. I was just listening to this song. Got my old CD out. Looks like I got this from Zavvi, £7 back in the day, which just reminds me of that Stuart Lee routine where he talks about his warm, nostalgic feelings for shopping at Zavvi. So, and that probably makes no sense whatsoever unless you're living in the UK and a Stuart Lee fan. So I'll move swiftly onto the guitar stuff, which is, after all, why we're here. Now, this solo, I'm not even sure who played this solo. I was looking at the notes here, and it seems there were quite a few guitar players on this album. I think the likely candidates for this solo are probably someone called Steve Bruton, or else someone else called Jesse Ed Davis. I've got a feeling it was probably him playing this solo. He's one of those guys, you might not know the name, but you've almost certainly heard his playing. He's a bit of a kind of session legend, so I'm going for Jesse Ed Davis. But if anyone knows for sure who played this solo, be interested to find out. So do let me know that. So let me show you how this is done. As usual, I'm going to take you through the solo in a little bit of detail. Also going to talk a little bit about the gear I'm using for this video as well. I'll do that at the end. So, but let me take you through the solo first. So let me begin by just outlining the basic chord changes we're dealing with here. The solo is played over G, going to D, C, C over B, A minor, G, D, and then we stay on C. This repeats, G, D, C, walking down to A minor, then G, D, then we've got C, D, and finally resolving to G. So quite a simple chord progression. It's just 1, 4, 5 in the key of G, and we got a little bit of A minor as well, which is the 2 chord. And what's really nice about this solo is the way that it does kind of hint at and outline those chord changes with its note choice. And I'll touch on that a little bit as I'm taking you through the solo, but you could really see this solo in a few different ways. We've got the key center, which is G major and the G major scale. Then we've got major pentatonic scales, which is happening quite a lot in this solo, so that the G major pentatonic, most obviously, and maybe some other major pentatonics outlining the C and the D. Also just thinking in terms of chord tones and arpeggios as well. So there's no kind of one approach or one way of thinking about playing over a chord progression like this. But let's kick off with the opening lick of the solo. It goes like this. We got 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm thinking of this as coming out of this G major or G major pentatonic position here in the 7th, at the 7th fret. You've got this kind of C form bar chord, and then you've got the G major or the G major pentatonic scale right there under your fingers, and that's where this first lick is coming from. We've got E, G, G. Then we're bending an A up to a B, so that's hitting the B, which is the 3rd of the G chord, so targeting that chord tone. then we're coming down to a D, which is the root of the chord that we're just changing to. So again, hitting the chord tone at the right moment. So that's our first lick. Then we've got this really nice descending idea, all happening on the high E string, and that goes like this. So really just descending with a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs, mostly kind of G major scale stuff here. We've got E and F, D and E, and then kind of unusually it's a C and a C sharp, a little bit of an odd note there, but I think it kind of works in context. And then going down 1 fret, B and C, A and B, and then G and A. So then we're playing 5th fret on the B string, it's an E. Just a slight hint of an open B string there. And then we've got a kind of hammer on from D to E and a slide up to G, all on the B string. So all of that phrase slowly is 2, 3, 4. Then we're on into another nice little bending phrase, which is so again it's the same idea as the opening lick, really, just around the G chord tones. We've got some, so it's the G and then bending the A up to the B, and then the same idea over D. We're bending into the 3rd of the D chord, which is an F sharp. So bending an E up to an F sharp. So and coming down to that D root note here, and E to G. Then the next lick. Really nice here. We're bending 15th fret on the B string. It's kind of a unison thing because we're bending up to an E and then playing the E, the fretted E note here on the top string. Then releasing the bend. Sliding down 2 frets. So it's 1, 2, 3. That's all over the C chord, I think. And again, it's the same device, you know, bending into the 3rd of the chord. So in this case, bending a D up to an E. Next phrase. Just a nice series of bends running down the neck. So we've got a bend at all on the B string here, 13th fret down to the 10th, and then the 8th, and then we're onto the G string. So we got so it's a bend at the 9th fret, and then at the 7th fret, and then playing that note unbent. So, and then another one of these kind of unison phrases. We're bending the D up to an E, and then playing the E on the B string as well. So we're bending up, hitting the E on the B string, then re-picking the bend and releasing it. So one of the challenging things about this solo is just trying to hit all of these bends as in tune as you can. So it's really just experience and using your ear to try and judge that. Yeah, I don't always get it exactly right, but try and get as close as you can. Then we're sliding down 2 frets to the 5th fret. then playing the 3rd fret on the B string, and then we've got a kind of, I think we're playing the 3rd fret on the B, and then it sounds like a kind of pre-bent note at the 5th fret. And pulling off from 5 to 4 on the G, and then we've got this little triplet idea. So I'm pulling off from 5 to 4 on the G, sliding down to 2, so I just get in picture here, and then 2 pull-offs from 4 to 2 to open on the G. So, and then picking the open G again. Then some sliding stuff now, so sliding from 2 to 5 on the D, and then the open G, and then we've got the open D, and more unison stuff really, so it's the open D string, and then sliding into the fretted D at the 5th fret on the A, so, and then the open D again, and then just repeating those 2 notes. Oops. And then we've got kind of building to the climax of the solo here with this idea. We've got so this is played over the C chord. It's kind of C major pentatonic, so he's following the chord changes with the appropriate pentatonic scale, and it's just a little very common group of 3 pentatonic pattern here. So E D E, G E G, A to G, and then a final great country bending idea. Very close to this classic country bending lick, which I talked about in a video that I did a few weeks ago. We're bending up to the 3rd of the G, and then playing some notes on the top string whilst you're holding the bend. So you're bending, then with the little finger playing a G, and then playing a C with the 1st finger and reaching down for the B, and then releasing the bend and resolving to the G. Probably the most difficult lick in the solo, that one, to get to sound right. It's very hard to get that bend in tune whilst managing to get those notes on the top string. So that might take a little bit of practice. And then the solo wraps up with just a series of very similar bends. So we've got the bend at the 10th fret, and then the 10th fret on the top string. Same idea at the 13th fret, and then back to the 10th fret. And that's the entire solo. I'm just going to play the whole thing slowly for you, so you can see how it all fits together, and you can get a sense of the rhythm as well. So I'll just try and get my picking hand in camera as well. How's that? There we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So here's a quick rundown of the gear I'm using in this video. Quite a classic country setup here. I'm using my Telecaster, which is a 52 reissue from sometime in the early 1990s, and from there I'm running into a couple of pedals. I was going to try using a volume pedal for this track because I've got a feeling there might be a bit of volume pedal on the original recording, but I couldn't really get that to quite sound right, so I didn't use that in the end. I am using quite a bit of compression from my MXR Dynacomp, and from there I'm running into my pedal board, and I'm using the J Rocket Archer, which is a kind of overdrive pedal. Just got that on quite a restrained setting just for a little bit of warmth, and also got just a touch of delay from the MXR carbon copy, really just a kind of subliminal delay. You can't really actually hear the repeats, but they're in there somewhere. From there, going into classic country amp, which is my Fender Deluxe, into the normal channel of that amp, and the settings there, nothing particularly special. Running the volume fairly low just because I don't want to annoy any neighbours. So that's set at about 3, treble is on 3, and the bass is about 5. That's about it for today. Hope you enjoy learning to play this solo. If you've not already done so, do check out my website where you'll find lots more of this kind of thing. And I'm actually in the process of trying to film some more videos, and really want to try and up my productivity. I'd love to get to the stage where I can do a regular weekly video or a couple of videos a week, and unfortunately it's really time consuming to put these videos together, and the only way I'm going to really be able to do that is if I can make a bit of money from doing this. So with that in mind, I've just set up a Patreon page. I thought I'd give that a try. You might have come across it before, but quite a lot of other YouTubers are doing this, and it's basically just a way that you can contribute a modest amount every month, and that will help me to continue doing what I'm doing. So if you're interested, do check that out. I'm not going to give you the hard sell on that every time, but if you are interested in helping out, that will be much appreciated. But until next time, thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.